okay with the topics that we have covered? You see, ISO today spots tire here. Okay, so now are you okay with the other day's class? Anyone got any questions to ask or not? Anybody got anything to clarify? If you don't have, let me just share with you. Now this is your folder, isn't it? TYMBA Flex 1. Okay. So in the class material, I put it under answer for day 1. Okay. So ethics, acceptance, and fraud. So whatever that we have discussed in the class, and also the questions that I gave you as a homework, right? A few questions that I gave you as a homework, I put it here. Okay. So you click and you can download the document. Yeah. Okay. So it should be in PDF. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Let me just show you. I have one question. This is another additional question, which is not in your notes, but I put the question and answer, and then the balance is all only on the answers. Okay, because question is already given to you previously. Okay, so you can use this to check your answers, and in case if you don't understand any point or you want to justify with other points, you want to clarify anything, please just message. Okay, actually I want to tell to you, I would prefer if you ask question in the group itself, because maybe your question is actually another person's question also. Okay, so it's easier for me to reply, and I tend to reply faster when it is in the group. Okay, because of it's flagged, isn't it? But individual email messages sometimes we can overlook because I didn't register. Save the number. Okay, so yeah, that is on. On side note, now let's look at what we have stopped the other day. We have done up to the fraud, and now I want to continue with NOCLA. Okay, so this was the notes that we were doing the other day. Okay, so we are already done with the fraud. So now let's continue with NOCLA. Okay, are you all on leave today? All energized? See, so we have got two. Also we have. Okay, so now let's start with NOCLA. Okay, so I think the NOCLA you would have learned in very beginning stages of the chapter. I just want to check something. I actually have. Okay, never mind. Okay, so now let's look at this. Yeah, so NOCLA, non-compliance to law and regulation. So what do the examiner want you to understand about this type of question is that most likely they're going to have a situation where hold on, yeah, okay. Are you all ready? Can we start? We can start, isn't it? Okay. So when you get a NOCLA question, most probably they will ask you. It can appear in both the section, yeah. You can get it in section A. You can also get it in section B. If it's in section A, most probably that in your planning stage A, someone want to ask question. No? Okay. Okay. So now, if it's in section A, most probably that a particular client they have committed or they have some breach of non-compliance with law and regulation, and they might ask you on two things. Yeah. Okay. One is they might ask you on how to identify. Okay. How to identify. Hold on. Yeah, why is this thing blocking me? Okay. Identify if there is NOCLA. Number two is maybe they ask you if it is already been detected. Okay. So how to go about it. Okay, how to go about it, how to report it, and so on. Okay, so how you want to handle the situation. Okay, now similarly for question B, section B, right? It's probably as part of consideration that you will make about a client. Okay, because here for section A is going to be a planning question, so they will ask you how you will identify because it's already an audit client. Okay, section B maybe audit client, maybe you're considering to accept a new client, they might give you in section B. Okay, but most commonly I seen is in section A. Okay, so now let's look at the rationale behind this type of question. Okay, so most probably I put my PC this idea, so maybe my face is like or what? Yeah. Okay, so one the auditor must understand. Okay, so the rationale of giving you this type of question, auditor must understand that NOCLA exists. Okay, it's possible. How good the client is. Also, they can commit a breach to law and regulation because maybe it is unintentional. They are unaware. Okay, and the auditor is expected to maintain their integrity and also respond. Yeah, sometimes writing is like this. Okay, hold on. Yeah, and respond accordingly. Okay, so now let's see how they will ask you, yeah, in question. Most of the time, the requirement will make it clear it is a NOCLA question. Okay, the scenario will indicate they have breached a particular law and regulation, for example, data protection, or they would have breached a particular, food regulation, or some, health and safety for employee. Okay, so all those things will be given to you. Okay, they will indicate to you. Or most probably, if it's not clear, they will indicate that the stakeholders are hurt. Like there is an indication of someone who has accident at the workplace, or someone have to pay penalty. Okay, so those things is going to be an indication of NOCLA. Okay, now let's see auditor's responsibility. Okay, so we have to consider. Let me just draw it here. Easier for me to explain. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Okay, so now let's see. This is ISA 250. Okay, so ISA 250. I want to ask you because you are very quiet in this morning. Okay, so do you think you will know all the law and regulation that exists in your client's business environment? Will you be aware of all the law and regulation? Yeah, will you be able to? No. How is it possible, isn't it? Because what you will be expected to know. What type of law you will be expected to know? There are some law you cannot say I don't know. Okay, for example, if you go to your client's place, you cannot say you don't know the tax law. Okay, you have a tax law, you have a tax subject, you should have been qualified because you have passed the tax law examination. Okay, so you should be aware of tax law. Maybe to an extent, you should also know what is the employment law. Okay, why? Because later on, when you are doing auditing on payroll, you will need to calculate how much is the percentage of EPF and how much is the SUC. So, you should be aware of how much is the percentages and so on. Okay, so employment law. Apart from that, maybe you should also be aware of company law. Okay, because company law will have an idea about how much they should have the authorized share capital, have some idea about how they should have incorporated the business, and some idea about those things that will have we call as direct effect to financial statement. Okay, so this type of law, you cannot go and say you are unaware about it. You are expected to know, and because it has a direct effect to financial statement, and because you are responsible to provide opinion that the financial statement are free from material misstatement due to fraud and error. Okay, and which means, right, if you have any issues in the financial statement, at least you must obtain reasonable assurance that it is not materially misstated. So, if there is direct effect to financial statement, must obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Must, because you will need to provide reasonable assurance, okay, that the financial statement is free from material misstatement. Because you need to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, you will need to you have to perform your procedures. They must, yeah, all these are must. Procedures means, like, for example, if it's a tax law, you might go and recalculate it. Okay, you may need to go and refer to the payroll listing. Okay, maybe you select a sample and you want to calculate, because you want to confirm the accuracy. Okay, so all this when all this you're supposed to do when you have a direct effect to financial statement. Okay, now on the other hand, there are some law that you are not familiar with. Okay, so anybody can think of any example or not that you might not be familiar. Like, for example, is maybe you are not familiar with what is this health and safety. Health and safety. You might not be familiar with the Data Protection Act. Okay, you might not be familiar with the food management regulations. Okay, so you cannot be expected to know everything. So because of that reason, you might need to use an expert. Okay, but before you get into an expert, you are required, again, your opinion is, you must have an opinion that it is free from material misstatement, isn't it? So you cannot just leave it because you are unaware. So what you need to do is, this type of law, we call it as they have indirect effect to financial statement. Okay, why we call this as indirect effect? Because if there is a breach in this type of law, you will need to pay penalty. Okay, you might need to shut down. Okay, you may not be able to operate. Okay, now if it is a penalty, then most likely the company will need to recognize a provision in the financial statement which is affecting the financial statement eventually. So that's why it's called indirect. If they shut down, they are required to shut down, then it is a going concern issue. So it is going to affect your IAS 1 requirement. Okay, whether they comply or not with IAS 1 requirement. So it has an indirect effect to financial statement. Okay, so because of you are unfamiliar with it, and because of you are not sure whether there is existence of this non-compliance to law and regulation, is you at minimum must look out for possibilities. Okay, possibilities of NOCLA. Okay, can someone tell to me, how would you be able to identify for something that you are not familiar, but you can identify the possibilities of NOCLA? How can you identify? Anybody? You are not sure, but you think that when you look at this particular document or this particular item, you will be able to tell that they have breach of law and regulation. Where can we identify? Everybody very quiet. Now, if you are unhappy with the a particular product, right, what do you do these days? How do you know? Before you want to buy something from a particular client, right, what do? Sue them. Wow, straight away go and sue them. I mean, sue them is very extensive. extensive already. Yeah? Most probably, what you will do is you will go and complain. Okay, so nowadays people don't go and take time to go and write letter and all those things. Yeah, when I last time we normally write like unsatisfaction, if we are dissatisfied about something, we'll write in the newspaper. Okay, so they'll give us a column for us, like can write our opinion, and the best opinion will be there. Okay, but these days you don't need to go to that extent all. Yeah, you will just go to social media. Okay, so this social media kind of tell to you what is the reputation of the client. If you are unhappy with the client and there is possibilities of customers going to sue you. Okay, so now other ways of identifying it. Yeah, check feedback. Feedback, if clients share with us the feedback of the customers, probably can okay, sorry, yeah. Yes, you can go and look at the board of directors minutes. Okay, so you can also look at the GL and see whether they have any penalties. Okay, or they have any fines that they have, they paid. Or if you look at the GL also, if they have made payment to the lawyers, okay, you find out what is this payment for, why you are actually seeking out for lawyers arrangement. Are you having some issue, and what issue is that? Okay, so these are some clues that you need to identify. And out of all this, at the end, okay, that is like, you are doing some CID work there. Yeah? Now, apart from all this, you also go and obtain written representation from management, saying that they have already disclosed to you all their non-compliance with law and regulation. Yeah? Yes, written representation is like the overall. Okay? So now, once you have done all these works, you most probably would have detected, okay, or you might have suspected some non-compliance with law and regulation. Okay, because here we can only say we suspected. Okay, because we are looking out for possibilities, isn't it? So probably you detected or you suspected. So we have to think about how we want to respond to it. Okay, I'm going to go back to the notes here. Okay, so here, yeah, let's then just look at number 3, auditor's responsibility in respect of NOPLA, which has direct effect. If you have direct effect, you are required to determine the amount and disclosure in the financial statement, whether it is in compliance with what is required or not. Okay, so this one you will have to look at, for example, the tax law. You might want to look at the pension law. Okay, so all those things. Law which do not have direct effect, you have to on the determination of amount and disclosure. You might have to look at health and safety law and so on. Okay, so here you must obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Over here you look out for possibilities of NOPLA. Okay, so once you have done this, you will move on to respond to it. Okay, so once you have suspected or identified, you're going to respond. How you want to respond is, because you might not be familiar with 100% of the things, you will need to obtain understanding first. Okay, obtain understanding on the law that is not being complied with. Okay, so you also want to obtain understanding because you want to know how serious is the matter, seriousness of the matter. Okay, so how you want to go forward with it. Okay, now next is you will need to go and communicate. Okay, this communication part, you have to understand that we have a number of parties that we will need to communicate. Yeah, first of all, if you have an issue, let's say it is committed by employee, you going to communicate it to management first. Okay, you tell them so that they can rectify. Okay, they can take steps to rectify it and don't want the matter to repeat it again. Now, once you have already communicated to management, then you communicate to those charged with governance. Okay, let's say it's done by management, you straight away go to those charged with governance. You want to tell those charged with governance because you want them to know the seriousness of the matter. Hold on, yeah. Of the matter. Okay, and apart from that, you also want to tell them because they can find out how to rectify the matter, and you can request them to perform investigation. Okay, so that is on those charged with governance. Let's assume even though they are aware, they still don't want to do anything about it, yeah, which is even more dangerous, isn't it? So what we will do is we'll take some polite approach first, yeah, which is we will go and advise them to report. Okay, because ideally if there is a NOPLA, they're supposed to report it. And then now if they don't do that, you will advise them to report. Okay, so advise them what is the right thing to do. Now after you advise, so they don't want to do, you take some aggressive move already, yeah. So which is you going to inform the authorities. Okay, but before you go and report it, you will need to consider whether it is any breach to confidentiality or not. Okay, so you want to question whether it's any breach to confidentiality. How you want to know? You will go and seek some legal advice first. Okay, will I be sued if I do this? Okay, now if you already inform the authorities, then last part is you're going to include this as part of management. Why this thing keep moving here? Okay, so management letter. Okay, in management letter, you're going to highlight it as a internal control deficiency. You want to talk about what is the implication of this deficiency and also what will be your recommendation. Okay, what is your recommendation to be? That is on communication. So how you want to remember management, those charged with governance, advice, inform, and management letter. Okay, now next is you want to go and consider about what is the implication to audit report. Okay, implication to audit report or implication to the audit. Okay, so what about the implication to audit is you want to consider whether there is any provision that you will need to recognize. Is the matter material or not? Okay, so will it affect the way the outcome of your opinion? Okay, so that one you want to consider. And finally, you want to consider whether you want to continue or not. Okay, continuance, whether you want to evaluate and see the integrity. Hold on, yeah. Integrity of the client. Okay, so the fact that they don't want to report, then you might want to consider whether they are being an honest client or not. If they are not being an honest client, you may consider that you don't want to get reappointed. Okay. Now another one about implication to audit is that you may want to know, okay, now the fact that they don't want to disclose things, you may want to consider all this while the written representation that you receive, right, is reliable or not. Okay. Because all this while they might not be a honest person. Okay. So that is all about this whole NOCLA topic here. Okay. Now one more part that I have not put it in here. I'll just write it down here. Okay. So another part about NOCLA that you must understand is responsibilities. Okay. Okay, responsibilities of the management and also responsibility of the auditors. Okay, so management has the primary duty. Okay, so auditor has a primary duty means they are the one who need to prevent, they are the one who need to deter, they are the one who need to detect. Okay, so you cannot go and say it is the auditor's responsibility. Management is the one need to have a good internal control. They are the one who should have the proper culture in the company so that they always comply with the required law and regulation. Okay, now the auditor is not so much. They cannot prevent, they can only detect, but the detection is also a secondary responsibility. Okay, now further details on the responsibility we have already discussed it here. Okay, now anyone have any question to ask or not? With this? Now, anybody? Okay, if you don't have, I want you to look at the question, which I have already uploaded it here. It is called Winberry Co. Okay, so later we're going to actually do that question as a what is this audit risk? But now look at Winberry. Okay, so hold on, yeah, this one Winberry Co question. Okay, so you download it and you open that question. We're going to hold on, yeah, Winberry question. Okay, so the one that I want you to read is on hold on, yeah, this is actually from the what is this practice platform. Okay, so the one that I want you to read is here. Okay, part D. Part D of the question. Okay, so with reference to the data protection issue. Okay, what is Queen's Co responsibility in relation to Winberry Co compliance with law and regulation? Okay, and then I want you to read the data protection issue. Okay, so I want to give you 5 minutes. You please read this data protection issue part and tell to me what will be your response to it. Okay, or if you're given the question, this is the question and this is the part that you should refer to. Yeah, so based on what you have there, what would you write for 7 marks? Okay, so I want to give you 5 minutes. You read first, then we will discuss. Okay, just have a look at this part here. Okay, have you read the question? Okay, we don't have many NOCLA questions separately, yeah, because most of the time they will combine NOCLA with a long question like the 50 marks question. So this is one of the reason one. Okay, so that's why I'm doing this. Okay, now let's look at. Okay, so now let's look at what they have there. Yeah? So 2 months ago, Winberry Co suffered a cybersecurity attack, which the personal information of 2,500 customers, including their credit card details, was stolen. Okay, so now this is obviously sounds like something that is big because 2,500 customers' credit card details, okay, so it's stolen, and anytime this can be misused. Yeah. So according to the representative of the audit committee, the company internal audit team had not properly assessed the risk relating to the cybersecurity. Okay, now does it sound like they are blaming them? Now it looks like they own they take the ownership of the fault. In your point of view, yeah, does it sound like the audit committee taking the responsibility, or they are blaming it is because of internal audit team? Okay, so look at it, yeah. According to the representative, the company's internal audit team has not properly assessed the risk relating to cybersecurity, which is a requirement of the data protection legislation in the jurisdiction. Okay, now, yeah, I'm asking you, yeah, it looks like they are blaming, isn't it? Okay, now who is audit committee? Audit committee is the one who's supposed to be the one who is responsible for the risk management. Okay, and audit committee sounds like they are blaming the internal audit team. Okay, so now Let's consider the issue in which has led to cybersecurity attack has now been resolved. They're saying now already settled already. They can, they manage the issue already. But Winbury Court did not make any report. Okay. So now obviously there is a breach in the law and regulation and they have not made the report. Okay. So now let's go and look back at what is the question. Yeah, with reference to the Data Protection Act, discuss what is the responsibility in relation to Winbury Court compliance with law and regulation. Obviously we know the details what to write, but our challenge will be how I want to write to get the 7 marks. Okay. Now because they are asking us about responsibility, I would want you to discuss what is the responsibility of the management first, because it looks like they don't know what is their responsibility. They start blaming someone else for it. Yeah. So we have to go and also discuss about what's the auditor's responsibility on the matter. Okay. So when you discuss about auditor, right, you want to say for direct effect, what will be your responsibility? Indirect effect, what will be the responsibility? And then for the item that they have identified, how they should respond to it. Okay, so when we want to talk about responding to it, you're going to discuss UCIC, which I have just explained just now. Okay, so management 1 mark, auditor's responsibility 1 mark, UCIC. Depending on how well we discuss, we should be able to get the 7 marks that is required. Okay, now let's go and try this question. And you have your Word document. Okay. Okay, so now let's go and do this question. Yeah, I wanted to spend half an hour only for this topic, but it's taking too long. Okay, now let's go and draft our answer first. Okay, later we'll do the whole question, yeah. Okay, today Winbury Co, and then this is on part C of that. So later you cut and paste to the whole answer. Okay, so first one, we may want to go and discuss about what is the management responsibility first. Okay, so first one is compliance with law. Okay, compliance with law and regulations. First is management responsibility. Abilities. Okay, so let's go and discuss. Yeah, we want to say that yeah. So we want to say that management is responsible for what? Yeah. Management has responsibility to ensure the entity complies with law and regulations, okay, by establishing adequate internal internal controls. Okay, so they are the one who's responsible to do this, and in this case the management is responsible to hire the competent person. Okay, responsible or the management should ensure that they should ensure the data protection, okay, to be given to someone who is competent, and should have obtained, okay, so should have obtained assurance from them that the cyber security risk have been properly assessed and managed. Okay, so seeing that it is an requirement, okay, so seeing that it's a requirement of data protection legislation, in the jurisdiction, okay, which Winbury operates. Okay, so that is on management responsibility. Okay, next you want to discuss about auditor's responsibility. Okay, so what is it with the auditor's responsibility? You want to say that as per ISA 250, the auditor will require to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence in respect of law and regulation, which has direct effect to the financial statement. Okay, financial statement, and however, the data protection regulation do not have direct impact on the financial statement. However, the auditor will have to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statement are not materially misstated, okay, as a result of no cloud. You can word it differently also. You want to say that they must look out for possibilities of no cloud, all those things. Okay. Now, after you have discussed about auditor's responsibility, then you have to list down how, in this case, okay, the response should be as follows. Okay, so now I'm not going to type it out for this. I want to explain to you with an answer because I've already explained to you in depth just now how we will want to respond. So it's just a translation of what I explained just now in my notes. Yeah, hold on for a while. Okay, hold on for a while. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. Okay, so now I've mentioned that you will need to put in UCIC, isn't it, to explain the situation. Okay, so now you want to start off with the fact that you will need to go and, okay, so in this case the response should be as follows. Okay, so you want to say the auditor is required to obtain understanding on the data protection regulation that have been breached. Okay, so that's your you, and the audit team should discuss the matter with management to understand how is this happened and the reason. You want to understand the seriousness of the matter. Okay, and that's for understanding. Then you want to communicate. Who would you want to communicate? Would you need to communicate to management? Do you need to communicate to management now about this matter? Do you need to communicate to those charged with governance? Yeah? No, because you see, audit committee also already aware about it. So I'm not going to, I don't need to talk to both of them. Okay, straight away I advise them only. Okay, so in view Winberry did not make any report on the breach, the engagement partner to advise the management to report the breach to relevant authority. Okay, so I advise them to report. Okay, if the management refuse to report, the partner to understand the reason and also obtain written representation to explain their stand on the matter. Okay, ask them to give. Okay, you don't want to report, never mind, give me written representation. This is what your stand. Okay, now if the matter is considered as obligatory requirement, which is not clearly stated in the case, the firm responsible to inform the matter to authority on the breach of data protection. If there is no obligatory requirement, then consider if the matter is public interest. Yeah, however, the decision they still need to require to obtain legal advice regarding the confidentiality of the matter. Okay, so done with that. Now next one is to include it in the management letter. Okay, so management letter, what do you want to include? You want to include the deficiency, noting the issue, the implication, and also the recommendation. Okay, done with that. Then we're going to talk about implication. The decision that the management choose not to report, then now it's demonstrating lack of integrity. Okay, so because we have lack of integrity, I will consider about the written representation as which I have taken in all this while. Okay, then discuss with Winberry lawyer to see how much need to be accrued as. How much? Okay, correct. I talked about this. Okay, so once you have done, once you have already taken into account the implication, yeah, you also want to ask the, why is it coming? Okay, so you may also need to go and, you have to go and come up with the possibilities, to understand the extent of, to discuss with the Winberry lawyer to understand the extent of the non-compliance and possibilities of fines and penalties. Okay, so this need to be accrued as provision. And finally, you have to discuss about what's the management integrity about the matter, because there's a possibility they hold key information and they don't want to tell us. Okay, and because of that, the auditor is also not to also consider what's their relationship, because there are possibilities of information given to us is it's a threat to integrity. Okay, so are you okay with this or not? Winberry Co. Okay, so that's all for Nukla. Yeah, now I know we have just started the class, but I need 10 minutes. We'll take a break for a while. 10 minutes. When you come back, I'm going to start with money laundering. Okay, so the notes that we had just now, the money laundering part. Okay, so look at money laundering. Okay, not yet 10 minutes. Yeah, now it's 10, right? 10:22. I will start at 10:30 like that. Who don't have the answer, okay, so you probably, hold on, you probably want to take a picture of it so that you can type it out on your own first. Okay, so because I will upload it, but it won't be so fast. Okay, I mean, like I will compile everything, then only I'll put maybe like 1 or 2 days. So it may take time. So if you want to take picture first, okay, because I didn't type it out with you just now. So this one here, which one we were doing just here. Okay, so yeah. In this case, from here onwards, I did not give you answer. Yeah, okay. So where we discuss about the understanding communication. You can take picture and you type out first. Then when the answer is uploaded, then you can refer to it also. Okay. So is it okay? Done?
Okay.
Okay. So wait, a little bit more. Okay. It's a lot of gaps, I think. You must practice to type a lot of answers, yeah? Then only you'll be, ready for the examination. Okay, done with this. Now let's go and look at money laundering. Okay, so any one of you have anything that you haven't take picture or anything, please let me know. Later I'll share with you the screen again, yeah? Now let's go on to look at money laundering. Okay, so these are all small topics that we need to cover. Which is a group of ethical issues, okay? So that later on after this, any ethical issues you can start doing already. Okay, now let's go and look at hold on, yeah, money laundering. Okay, what do you remember about money laundering, yeah? What do you remember? What is money laundering? What do you remember about money laundering?
The stages of money laundering.
Yeah, there are 3 stages, and then you cannot tip off. What else? What else about money laundering? Money laundering is a little bit different than fraud and no law because money laundering is a crime. Okay, so money laundering is a lot more serious, yeah, than the others. Okay, the others we are concerned about. Oh, it's going to affect the financial statement and so on. But when it comes to money laundering, we can subject to a criminal. We can subject to under the criminal act if we don't even report it. Okay, so we can go and they can go and report us if let's say I did not I find out and I don't report it because it's a crime. Okay, so now let's look at what are the important parts of the money laundering. Okay, hold on, yeah, there are some things. Yes, you want to remember the element of money laundering. You want to know how to report it. What are your responsibilities in terms of reporting it? Okay, so now let's consider rationale. Okay, so rationale is most of the time money laundering, right? Whenever you have money laundering question, it will not be like a huge company. It will be most of the time owner managed companies, and then there will be a cash intensive business. Okay, so cash intensive business involved, and then there is many things is they are secretive. They try to hide a lot of things secretive, yeah, the management. I'm just looking at, how many days left. There is 23 days left for your exam, not many days, yeah. Anybody on camera today? Nobody. Okay, so now let's see the rationale behind this type of question. Yeah, this one I'll try to go faster already. After this, already like warm up already, so we should be going faster. Now, the thing that you want to see, you want to understand is that there is possibilities. Okay, possibilities for money laundering to take place. Even if you see a very honest person, yeah. Okay, you never trust, okay, anybody. As an auditor, you're going to always take your precaution steps because anything can happen. Okay, so there is a possibilities of money laundering to take place in any client. And how you want to know it is a money laundering question is most of the time they will make it very clear it is money laundering. Okay, or if they have not given you the indication it's money laundering, sorry, if they have not mentioned it is a money laundering question, there will be an indication. Okay, so what is the most common indication? It will be a cash-based business. Okay, like I told you just now, and there will be some evidence of placement, layering, and integration happening in the question. Okay, so it will be not you can kind of guess it is money laundering. Okay, so normally what they will put in is there is a easy cash. Okay, now do we have a lot of cash intensive business at this point of time? Now, when did you last use cash to make payment? Easy. Okay, when was the last time you used cash to make payment? Yeah, touch and go. Mostly, yeah, nowadays we don't really, some time ago, yeah, no more cash payments already. So if a particular company is encouraging them to use the cash, some companies, they will encourage their staff to collect only cash. So then that's all indication of something is not right, okay? So easy, the business will be easy placement, okay? So easy to place cash, okay? And it might be a cash. They intentionally will do this type of business, yeah? Because they want to make sure that they can take in all this illegitimate money to mix with the legitimate business sources, okay? Now, second one is, there will be easy layering. Okay, that is in the question. Easy layering means you make a regular transfer. Okay, you see them that they are making regular transfer to overseas. Okay, why they always want to say that, oh, they're making regular transfers to overseas means, right? Because the thing about money laundering is, the one who's committing the money laundering, the first thing that will come to their mind is they want to conceal the source of income. Okay, as much as possible. Concealment, they want to hide the source of income. So they don't want to hide the cash, yeah, they want to hide the source of income. So they'll try to send it somewhere as far as possible. So it's difficult to trace back where this money came from. Okay, so that's why they always say regular transfer to overseas. So try to send it everywhere around the world. Now, third one is easy integration. Okay, what does easy integration mean? So maybe they will bring it back the money. Okay, so how they might do some major refurbishment, or maybe they suddenly in the case you come across that they mentioned they will upgrade the PPE. Okay, so maybe they also mentioned that there is a maintenance cost, major overhaul. Okay, so something like this, yeah, that they do. Now, if you come across those type of questions which mentioning something like this, you know for sure it's a money laundering question, and it means placement, layering, and integration respectively. So once you have already have idea it's a money laundering question, you know the way that they're going to ask you is either they will ask you what is your basic element of money laundering program that should have in the audit firm. Okay, so just a quick one that I want to explain. Or rather, I'll use it here. Yeah, hold on, yeah. Hold on, yeah. String. Oh no, I'll just use it. Hold on, yeah, for a while. Word document a little bit difficult to write, yeah. Okay, hold on, June 2024. Okay. Hold on, yeah. Now, let's just talk about it before this is being opened. Now, if I have a money laundering act, not if, there is a money laundering act everywhere around the world. Now, what is the main thing that the audit firm need to be aware of is you don't react to it, okay? You are supposed to take a risk-based approach. Risk-based approach means you're supposed to be already created all these steps before even it is happening, okay? Now, what is the main thing that they must have as in the audit firm to establish? They're supposed to establish something, and what is that in the firm? maybe my sentence are all not right. Let me just ask you again, yeah. Now, if I am an audit firm, I am going to send my staff to go and do the audit, right? And there is possibilities that my staff is going to be exposed to money laundering activities in the client's place. So before these things happen, I have to establish a strong reporting process in my firm. And what is that reporting process? I should appoint who? I should make sure I have what? Yeah, all this thing. Yeah, some ideas that what you have. Yes, they should have the client due diligence must be done. They should have already done the records that should be kept for more than 5 years. Yeah, all this video. Let's see what you have wrote. Yes, they should have internal procedures in the company on teaching the staff how to report the matter. Okay, and there should be someone who have been hired, and the person is the money laundering reporting officer. Okay, now what does this money laundering reporting officer do? Is they must be someone who's serious, and they are the one who's in charge of any money laundering cases that happened in the client. Yeah, the staff the moment they identify, they should not tell anybody else. They should fill up a form which we call as the suspicious activity report, and then tell to money laundering reporting officers. Okay, so this is very good answer. Okay, hopefully like you get it in exam, you explain it well, you should be able to get high amount of marks. Yeah. Okay, now control activities, MLRO, appoint MLRO. Yes, all of you are talking about the appointing MLRO. Appointment of MLRO alone is not enough for our answering of the money laundering program. Okay, that we should have in the firm. Okay, like this, yeah. So now, ideally, like I told you, I'm not going to react to it. Yeah, I'm not going to react when it's only happened. I have to take risk-based approach. Risk-based approach means I already created all the precaution steps if anything happens. Okay, so we should have a audit a firm. Yeah, as an audit firm, I should have money laundering program. Okay, so program. Yeah. Program. Okay. Now the way that you want to remember this is crime. Okay. So what about crime is? Crime is you must perform. Number one is you must perform. Okay, let me just write this in the notes itself because you have place to write it. Yeah. Okay. So here you should have done client due diligence. Okay. So what is the client due diligence? That client due diligence means right before I even accept as a client. I mean we have already covered on acceptance. So we have also learned about client due diligence. So when we are doing the client due diligence, we will identify who is the directors. Okay. Identify the directors. We will also obtain understanding of who are the owners. Okay, in the firm, and also source of cash. Okay, cash that they have in the business. Yeah, source of cash. Cash flow. Sorry, yeah, source of cash flow. Okay, so all this will give us some hint the possibilities of money laundering happening because by knowing the director, their past records, their experience in the past, the owners, this cash flow will have some idea about whether there is money laundering possible to happen or not. Okay, now secondly is you once you have done this client due diligence and also when you are doing auditing, right, you must always keep your records. Okay, you have to okay, so you just want to write down the firm to have records. Okay, so you have to at all time keep records of any transfers. Okay, so transfers, for example, like huge amount of cash and all this, yeah, where does it coming from? Have a record, and this record must at minimum keep that minimum 5 years. Okay, and then you will need to, as a firm, have a strong internal control. Okay, internal control for the process to report any money laundering activities. Okay, when you have any money laundering suspicions. Suspicion. My spelling there I know wrong, but yeah, suspicions, yeah. Okay, and then money laundering reporting officer. This person must be appointed. Okay, a person who can or have time to commit to the role. Okay, don't go and take someone a person who is very busy. Yeah, someone who can commit to the role and someone who is knowledgeable and know how to handle the job. Okay, which means that you're not going to hire someone just specifically for money laundering reporting officer. Yeah, then the person will sit down there and waiting for it to happen. No, this one is someone who's already in the firm. You are going to add on their role as a money laundering reporting officer, and he is education. Okay, what does education means? You must make sure the staff is aware. Okay, aware in terms of how to report, aware about the fact that they should not tip off. Okay, so all this they should know. Yeah, you should consistently educate them. Like now you study, you know about money laundering. Then when you join the firm, you may forget. So they have to consistently recall and remind you that this is a serious matter. Okay, now this is a basic element that must be established so that if there is any money laundering suspected, they can respond to it accordingly. Okay, now action when money laundering is found. Okay, which means you suspected some money laundering activity. Very shoo question, situation. Yeah, so what do we call that? Hush hush situation. You cannot tell anybody. Okay, number one, what you should do is you fill up this suspicious. Okay, suspicious activity reporting form. Okay, fill up SAR. Okay, reporting form, and then this report should be in details. Okay, now second one is O. O is basically the officer. Okay, so fill up the form, go and submit to the officer. Which officer? MLRO. Okay, the money laundering reporting officer. Give him the SAR. Okay, he will evaluate and decide whether he will. Okay, so basically he will evaluate this and then he will decide to report or not. Okay, he'll give his thought about the issue. Now T is you have to consistently remember that you cannot tip off. Okay, tip off cannot. Yeah, it is an offense. Okay, you can't even go and question the person. Okay, because he will get to know. Tip off means you are giving him clue that you already know about the fact. Okay, so tip off cannot. Then O is going to be you always have to keep the original entries, records of the original entries. How did they started off their accounting entry for it? Okay, and you might, because this is a serious thing, you may want to need a legal advice wherever possible. Okay, so obtain because if you don't ask what is according to the law, okay, if not, yeah, can be prosecuted. Okay, yeah. We spell prostitutes. Like you can be Punjaru. Yeah. Someone help me. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, you can be prosecuted because of it is a crime, and if you have given him a tip or give the person a tip of or anything, this is a serious thing. So you make sure you go and seek the legal advice also before any steps to be taken. Okay, and then I is basically you have to remember that any of this is going to be a quality issue. You have to make sure that this matter have been managed well. So end of the day, you go and obtain an independent partners review. Okay, so independent partners review means you get an EQR to review the file to see how you have managed the issue. This is for your future planning, your future improvement purpose. Okay, so generally you will go and suspicious activity report to the officer. Make sure you are educated that you should not tip off. Okay, and then you also want to retain all your original entries, your documents relevant to India, because this can go to a court case and you have to keep all this evidence for your court case. Okay, this may be required. Okay, and then you go and obtain legal advice in case. Yeah, to be safe, ask a lawyer how to handle this situation. Okay, so this person will actually review the working papers. Okay, so the way that we want to look at it is to improve the quality. Okay, improve quality management wise. Okay, so now let's try this one question. This is a 7 marks question and see whether you can understand where is the way to answer. Yeah, money laundering question. And I think if you get money laundering question, answer it well, because you know they cannot ask you so much. Yeah, they can either ask you about how the firm should come up with their audit program and also how you should report it. Okay, so not really any outside of that the question is going to be. Okay, now let's look at this question. You are a manager responsible for the audit of Yoke Co. Okay, a chain of health and leisure clubs owned and managed by entrepreneur Philip Smith. Okay, so the audit for the year ended 30th November 20x5 is nearing completion, and the draft financial statement recognizes total asset of 27 million and profit before tax of 2.2 million. Okay, now whenever they give you these figures, right, what you should do? Why are they giving you all these figures?
Calculate maturity.
Yes, correct. Because they're going to give you a professional marks in a way is also, yeah, because you also need to consider whether this matter is going to affect materially the financial statement or not. So please utilize the figures. Every time they're giving you all these items, there is a purpose for it. Okay, there is no such thing that in exam they're going to give it for no reason. Okay, so please think of how you can use those figures in as part of your answers. Okay, and majority of the time is for you to calculate materiality. Okay, so that's one. Now let's look at the situation that they have. Yeah, so during a review of the cash book, a receipt of 350,000 was identified, which was accompanied with the description BD. Okay, so that's all. Yeah, what does BD stand for? We don't know. A bank statement shows that the following day a nearly identical amount has been transferred to a bank account into a bank account held in a foreign country. Okay, so what does it mean? This is possibly a what? Yeah, the 3,500 could be what? Probably it is a
Placement.
Yes, it could be a placement, and then when it is being transferred into a bank account, it could be a layering already. When I asked the financial controller, okay, yes, layering already. Yeah. So when I asked the financial controller about this, she requested that I speak to Mr. Smith as he has sole responsibility for cash management. Okay. Now this is also an indication, yeah. Whenever they commit money laundering, right, normally they'll try to keep everything within them. They don't go and segregate the duties because they don't want anyone to know what they are doing. Okay, so that's why he is having the sole responsibility for cash management. Okay. According to Mr. Smith, an old friend of his, Brian Davies, has loaned the amount to the company to fund further expansion, and the money has been invested until it is needed. Okay. Now, do you just take loan for fun without knowing when you're going to use it? Would you? Would you do that?
No.
When you want to take a loan, you know you will need to pay interest for it, isn't it? So we will only take interest. We will only take loan when we need it. Yeah. So if we just taking until it has been invested, means like it sounds like there's no purpose for what they given the money for. And who would want to give money for fun like this? Yeah, like the old friend. Unless you know, do you read that this somebody from French lady who committed suicide? She gave the whole property or something to the maid, and it cost like millions like that. How do you know that? Okay, so nobody will do, yeah, like they will try to keep the money to themselves and they can grow the money. Like his friend could have just kept it in his own bank and grow the money. Why would he want to loan? And he did not mention how much he will want to get it back. He's not talking about give back, return to me by this particular date. Yeah, nothing is there. Okay, and it's not a small amount of money, 350,000. Yeah, okay. So documentary evidence concerning the transaction have been requested from Mr. Smith, but not yet been received. So being also hiding things. Yeah, okay. So let's see how we want to answer. Yeah, you have 7 marks to answer this question. You have to evaluate the implication for the completion of the audit and then recommend any further action which should be taken. Okay, number 1, implication for the completion. Number 2 is recommending any further action. Okay, so I think which one will be easy to answer, yeah? Which one will be easy? Implication to completion and recommendation. When you look at it, I think the recommendation will be the most easiest one because you already know you're going to say that you will put it in the suspicious activity report. You're going to say that you're going to report to the money laundering officer and you want to be aware that you don't want to tip off. You also want to make sure you retain all the original document, obtain legal advice, and also finally you want to talk about getting the EQR to perform the engagement quality review. Okay, so that is on recommending. So if we could explain it well, we can easily get 6 marks on recommendation. So what about implication? What should we write on implication part? Implication means, right, now that you have already found this, how is this going to affect your audit? What are the matters that we may want to put in? Like, what will be my audit procedure? Okay, as in my last minute audit procedure. What should we talk about? When we practice, we try to write to earn all the full marks, yeah, and also see how much we can earn for professional skill marks. Okay, so we can earn by calculating materiality. That aside, what else? What else can we talk about when they say it is an implication? So because we can talk about all this and only get about 7 marks, so probably we can opinion. You can talk about the fact that this could be a placement. Okay, you can say that this looks like it is an integration Okay, so yes, coming back to what you have said, yeah, it can be in the form of your opinion, implication to the audit. So you may want to say that you will be more skeptical about the areas that you can audit, and this will be your specific procedure to be done. Okay, now let's go and write it down in your answer. Yeah, hold on. Okay, so I'll just continue. I'll compile everything and then I name it as day 2 answers later. Yeah, okay. So let's go in this one. I want to do it with you, okay, because the notla we have already cut and I mean like I've already been just explained. Now I want to practice too. Okay, okay, because if you don't type, later you will feel sleepy. Yeah. Now let's go and write it down. This is yoke. Okay, this is a money laundering question. Okay, so number 1, we want to say that now that I have this information, the auditor, okay, will need to review. Okay, so we'll need to review the cash book, which shows the 350,000 thousand received with no documentary evidence. Okay, so we want to say this could be a placement. Okay, this could be a placement because of what reason? Because yoke is a cash business, and it would be easy for dirty money. Easy for dirty money to be placed together with legitimate source, legitimate funds to the business. Okay, now remember idea, yeah, because most of the challenge that student faces, am I writing enough, am I writing too much? Okay, so the idea that I always want to tell to you is, when you are explaining a point, you must always have the observation, which is you got the information from the story, you're not going to get mark for observation, and then you should comment about it. Okay, like in this case, I commenting or giving opinion that this could be a placement. Okay, and then you want to explain further why you comment it in this manner, or what does it mean. Okay, so I want to say this is a placement, and then I want to explain here why I think it is a placement. Okay, yoke is a cash-based business, and it would be easy for dirty money to be placed together with legitimate fund of business. Okay, so then you can get 1 mark. Okay, now other procedure to be done is, you probably want to say that the bank statement shows an identical amount was transferred. Okay, amount was transferred to an offshore bank account. Okay, bank account, and this is happening the following day. Okay, so that's my observation about this, and I want to comment. Yeah, this could be layering. Okay, so this could be a layering, and then we want to explain why I think it is layering. Yeah, there does not seem to be a valid reason, okay, for the cash register, cash transfer, apart from the fact, okay, that the money have been lent by a friend, okay, and Smith is free to use the money as he wishes, with the requirement. Okay, with the requirement. Okay, so which with the requirement for a repayment of his own time. Okay, so this is not right here. It doesn't sound normal. So that's why we want to think it could be a layering. Okay, now next we can talk about the actions that we want to take. Okay, so in the money laundering, in the case where money laundering is suspected, the senior should, which is like the situation in the case. Okay, so the senior should immediately, okay, so immediately to fill up suspicious activity report form. Okay, suspicious activity report together with the details of the dates when monies can cash in and cash out. Okay, cash in and out, and where the money came from. Okay, and the name of bank account. Okay, name of the bank account number that it was credited. Okay, so this is the first one. After that, we want to talk about the fact that we're going to report it to money laundering reporting officer. Okay, so the SAR to be given to MLRO, okay, as soon as possible, okay, for him to review and forward, okay, review and forward to financial intelligence unit, okay, in the country. Okay, next one is after you have identified this, then you want to go and talk about they should not tip off. Okay, so the auditor should not should be careful not to tip off. Okay, not to tip off the client with aggressive questioning about the money. Okay, aggressive questioning about the money, as for example, by resigning. Okay, so by resigning suddenly. Okay, so this should not be happen. This would be tip off. Okay, that the auditor is aware. Is aware the money. Okay, so we are aware that the money laundering is taking place. Okay, so we also want to say tipping off the client is a money laundering offense. Okay, so this is the tipping off. Okay, now apart from tipping off, we want to do some calculation. Yeah, this is the implication to completion of the audit. Okay, so we want to review the original entries. Okay, so original entries for when the 350,000 was first received. Yeah, when the 350,000 was first received. If the 350,000 was credited, to SOPL, as this would be 15.9% of PBT and is material. Okay, so you review that and then you identify, if the 350,000 was credited to loan, okay, this would be 1.3% of total asset and is also material. Okay, so review original entries and see how much, then material or not. Then if the 350 was credited to loan, this would also be 1.3 of total asset and is also material. Okay, if the management, okay, so if the management refuse to provide evidence, okay, so refuse to provide provide evidence for the or the 350,000, this would result to material mistake. Okay, so another one is the legal advice. Okay, so hold on, yeah. The audit should be completed. Okay, should be completed, but at the same time, and at the same time, seek legal advice. Okay, so seek legal advice to confirm. Okay, to confirm that audit team have recorded. Okay, have recorded everything that is needed. Let's see, we have wrote enough here. Okay, one more on the everything will need the full details. Okay, as the firm is currently facing the, what is this, more stringent rule. Yeah, okay, so maybe I don't want to put in everything will need full details as the firm firm will need to at the same time provide details in the management letter. Okay, one more is on the audit file. Okay, so the audit file should be reviewed by EQR, okay, to ensure that all the suspicious activities have been correctly. Okay, so roughly this is what you're supposed to write. Okay, so that's about 7 marks there. 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, 1. So all some PPT and 6, 7. Okay, so that is on yoke. Okay, so anybody got any question or not? Okay, no question. 5 minutes for you, then we continue with professional skepticism. Okay, it's not there. I'll just explain to you and we'll try one question. Then we can take a lunch break. When you come back, we'll start with audit risk. Okay, but for now, 5 minutes break until 11:30. Then we will continue.
Thank you, India.
Can I continue? Are you all there? Sorry. Today energy a bit low. Okay, now next point that I want to discuss with you will be on, are you all ready? Are you continue? Okay, ready. Now let's go and look at the next point is on professional skepticism. Okay, now when I mentioned professional skepticism, right, what do you remember? What do you remember about professional skepticism? I don't have the notes at the bottom here. This one I'll do it here. You can put it in as an additional note, okay? Because in recent time, the examiner is giving a lot of attention to professional skepticism, giving you additional professional skill marks for professional skepticism. So we have to know how to, yes, you want to remember questioning mind, you want to be alert or possible fraud and error. You have to be also performing critical assessment when you are being skeptical means all these three things, okay? Now let's see, yeah, it's very important term for an auditor, okay? So this is professional skepticism, okay? So number one, what you should understand is that, sometimes, let me just make it bigger. There is marks, yeah, for putting in professional skepticism part in your answers. Okay, so sometimes not only ethical question, yeah, any part of your questions later, we have to exercise professional skepticism. Yeah, I did not cap. Okay, so you have to exercise professional skepticism. You have to understand sometimes client is under pressure. Okay, so remember what is the reason for fraud? What is the reason that we can have fraud? Remember what could be the reason people commit fraud? You should have pressure, you should have opportunity, you should also have a rationalization. There's always this triangle happen, then only people will actually commit a fraud. Okay, so and one of it is client is always under pressure. Client is under pressure to what? Client always under pressure that they might need to perform, they might need to pressure to perform. Okay, perform in terms of the financial statement performance. Okay, maybe they are under pressure due to personal reasons also, yeah, maybe like personal reasons, they have some pressures. Okay, so and because of that, we need to know that there is possibilities for them to commit fraud. Okay, to commit fraud, or there is also pressure that that they may commit errors. Okay, so due to all these reasons, right, we have to at all time, the auditor will need to stay skeptical. Okay. Okay. So for example, right, especially, yeah, this type of things will happen in question. Okay, so they will mention the FD, which is the finance director. Something is maybe, yeah, he says something affecting the accounting treatment. Okay, so accounting treatment, and it does not make sense to you. Okay, number two, maybe you say that the FD did something. Okay, so did something affecting the accounting work. Okay, and it does not make sense to you. Okay, so now if you have such scenarios, this is what you should be aware of. Yeah, you come across and they are talking some things that not make sense. They say that, oh, this subsequent event, I will recognize this, but I recognize in the following year. Okay, and then they saying that they unable to provide you with evidence, or the evidence are contradicting evidence. So all these are going to affect, or it's a highlight to you that you have to present some answers which contain professional skepticism. Okay, so you have to identify that there is an issue. Now wait for a while, yeah, I also want to put it in this fact. Okay, so professional skepticism. Okay, so hold on for a while, I want to put in this information. UBC. Okay, so you always have your questioning. Sometimes you can get theory question also, make sure you can explain it. Yeah, questioning mind, you should be alert, okay, to be alert to possibilities of fraud and error. Okay, and also you you perform not perform. Okay, so conduct critical assessment. Okay, assessments. As part of your procedures, you have to always conduct what is this critical assessment. Okay, so now let's go and see in terms of in your exam paper, right, how you want to handle this situation when there is skepticism. Okay, so if it's a questioning mind, okay, so I just want you to write here probably the statement from the CEO, or let's say it is a statement from CFO. Okay, CFO. Okay, sorry, CFO, which seem unprofessional. Okay, so this is an indication. Okay, or you notice that the action by the CEO, or let's say the CFO, which seem unprofessional also. Okay, so you may also see accounting policies. Okay, they suddenly change the accounting policy, which seem to aim to reduce expenses and or increase the revenue. Okay, like intentionally they have all those things. Yeah, suddenly changes, and then that seem to be, it's an attempt to reduce expenses. Okay, maybe they have some assumptions. Okay, assumptions which will cause the expenses to reduce or increase the revenue. Okay, where do we use assumption? Like provision, like that. Yeah, some like it seems like their assumption is not right. You think, or when you read, it looks like it's supposed to be a provision, but their assumption, it looks like they say, oh no, we think that this is contingent liability, because if provision means will reduce expenses, isn't it? So it could be such situation. Or you notice that when you do analytics, okay, when you do analytics, which is contradicting. Okay, contradicting evidence. Okay, each other. Okay, so which is contradict to each other or does not make sense. Okay, so this is on professional skepticism, on questioning mind. Okay, so you have to exercise questioning mind, and as you discuss your answers, you should put in a line that how it's indicating that you should have questioning mind, or demonstrate you have questioning mind. Okay, like you are discussing about a point, right? Then you mention that this statement does not seem to be this statement seems to be unprofessional. The accounting policy seems to be intentionally changed to meet all this aim. Okay, so you want to put that one line to show that you have questioning mind. Okay, and you can get double mark for it, because that's what they want you to put in as a professional skill mark for the professional. Your professional skill marks, you have one part is to demonstrate professional skepticism, so that's how you want to score marks that. Okay, and being alert. Okay, show them that you are being alert, right? So you may want to show some calculation. Okay, so maybe you want to show by doing calculation, okay, in your answer. Okay, presenting, yeah, this doesn't make sense. Okay, so doing calculation, mostly this one is to indicate the pressure, indicate the pressure that the client has. Okay, so conduct critical assessment. Critical assessment, show them with evidence. Okay, so all these are points which you can use when you are using professional skepticism as part of your answer. Okay, so now let's move on to try one question. But the question that I have, I have already provided the answer. Okay, but it's okay. What I'll do is we will try the question. Okay, so when we want to try the question, the way to present the answer. Okay, so you remember OCWN. Okay, so what is OCWN? You try to get the observation from the scenario, from the case, yeah, and then you want to comment about it on the issue. okay, and talk about why okay, so your comment, yeah, about your comment, and now means what should be done, okay, should be what should be your action, okay, could be your action, could be your procedure, and so on. Okay, so the way that you want to present your answer, if there is anything got to do with professional skepticism, that's not possible for them to ask you a question just for professional skepticism. It can be examined in any question. Okay. Okay, so now the question that I want you to look at is, there's not many questions, so I'm going to take a question that I might have done in the past. Okay, but this is the question that I have at this point of time. Okay, so now later we will come across a longer questions, so I can show you better. But for now, just a quick one. Yeah. Now open your BPP. You have a BPP, right? That I have provided to you. In your file, there is here reference book. You have BPP revision kit. Okay, so you have this document. Okay, let me just save it, yeah, so that I use the right one with you. Okay. It's a very short question. It is called, okay, put. Can you go and look out for this question? I've already given the answer, so I'm just going to explain only. And a lot of methods to consider question will have skepticism type of scenarios. Okay. Okay, you found? Have you found? You will have skepticism everywhere. Okay, so now let's go and look at the question. Yeah, okay, so this is exhibit 2. Okay, so several new employees, look at this exhibit 2, just going to explain only, not going to do the whole thing. Yeah, so now this one here, yeah, several new employees have been added to the company payroll during the year, which combined payment of 125,000 are being made to them. Okay, so payment, yeah, being made to them 125,000. Okay, so there does not appear to be any authorization for this addition. Okay, so first of all, there is no authorization. Okay, so no authorization mean, how do you view it? Yeah, how do you view the fact that there is no authorization? What do we say? Yeah, what is the problem when they don't have authorization? Yeah, poor internal control. Okay, so that's an indication that they have poor internal control. Okay, so who's supposed to be responsible for internal control? The management. So it doesn't make sense that they come up with the procedures where there is no authorization. Okay, so the lack of internal control there. Okay, now when I questioned the payroll supervisor who made the amendments, she said that no authorization was needed because new employee the new employee are only working for the company on a temporary basis. Okay, so that's what the payroll side say. Yeah, payroll supervisor mentioned. However, when discussing staffing level with management, it was stated that no new employee. Okay, so no new employee taken this year. Okay, management is saying something else. The who's this? The payroll supervisor is saying something else. So what situation is this? Now, do you need to be skeptical about it or not? And if yes, why? Okay, so other than test of control plan, no other work have been performed. So which means the auditor who have done this work is not skeptical. Supposed to be, you should have questioning mind or not? Yes, isn't it? Why you have to have questioning mind? Possible of fictitious employee. So yes, when we need skeptical because maybe there will be ghost employee. Yes, but it's more that I want you to say that there is contradicting evidence there. So due to that reason, you want to have questioning minority. Can understand? Because one party say God, another party say no. So it's a contradicting evidence. That's what I mentioned in the notes also just now, that when you need to exercise questioning mind, when you doubt on all this unprofessionalism, and also when you notice that when you do analytics or when you notice that you're obtaining evidence, there is contradicting to each other. The information that they are giving doesn't drive together. Okay, so in this case, similarly, there is a contradicting evidence. So you have to exercise professional skepticism at a higher level already. Yeah, okay. So using the information contained in Exhibit 2 in relation to the audit of Putco payroll, explain the meaning of professional skepticism and recommending any further action that should be made. Okay, should be taken by the auditor. So now they did not break down how much they're going to give mark for theory. So generally, I'm just going to think that it might be just 1 mark. So for this 1 mark, you're supposed to talk about, you have to exercise questioning mind, you're going to say you will be alert, and also you're going to perform or you're going to conduct critical assessment on those areas. Okay, now when you are recommending any further action, what would you do? Yeah, now you have contradicting evidence. What will be your further action? Because at this point of time they have not done anything, they just do a test of control and no other work have been performed. So this is not right. So what we should do, what further action should be taken? Yeah, further test. You check the payroll employee records. You see whether really these people exist or not. If they do, then you want to see what is the account number in their employment record, and also whether the transfer is made according to what has been written in the employment record. Is there any records of them doing the work? Yeah, we can obtain, or we should go and confirm it first. Okay, now you have doubt, you have to confirm it, so you have to come up with procedures for it. Okay, so ideally, like you suspect, right, there is some fictitious employees that being created by this payroll employee, so a payroll supervisor, so you have to go and confirm. Okay, who did you pay? Give me more details. Does this amount tie to 125 or not, and who the money has been transferred to? Yes, okay, it's been transferred to different accounts or not, or it all went to one particular person's bank account. So all these are you being like, questioning them. So that's that feeling, and I want to say feeling, that questioning mind, right? You have to develop. Okay, and you have to demonstrate it in the answers. It will not come if you are memorizing. You have to develop the fact that you have to develop the skill as an auditor, where every single point that you see, it means that you need further information. Okay, so if I want to know further information, where can I obtain it? What source of evidence do I need? Okay, so that's about being skeptical. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I think I missed out. Review cash book. Yeah, bank statement. Confirm the payment has already made. Okay, now yes, it's already made because the money is already out from the client. Okay, now who did receive the money? I want to know. Okay, so if they are giving me like 10 different bank account, I want to match it whether it is the temporary staff's bank account number or not. Okay, so those are the procedures that you should do. And where do I have the answer for this? Is actually in your day one answer. Okay, so the answer is at the bottom. It should be at the last one. That should be could. Okay, so could, yeah. So how we want to explain or answer this question is, you want to say professional skepticism is an attitude that includes questioning mind, being alert to the condition. Okay, questioning mind, and then you being alert to the condition of possible fraud and error, and perform your critical assessment of audit evidence. Okay, now for example, in this case, yeah, there is contradicting evidence and there is an indication of possible fraud. Okay, and you have to maintain an attitude of professional skepticism so that you can reduce the audit risk. Okay, now in the case of explaining the answers, okay, where you want to do further procedures, right, you want to say that 125,000 paid to employee through the payroll, yet these names are not being authorized to be added to the payroll because they are temporary staff. So this is the observation. This one is you just got the information from the case itself. Okay, then you comment, you say that this is odd. Now authorization is always needed because needed before before that is actually dates. Yeah, authorization is always needed before the amount is paid, or the dates so whichever way, but basically you want to mention because the authorization should be given before the payment. Okay, so when discussing with the staff level with management, they say no new employees added. However, there's an extra 125,000 was paid to employees. Okay, so this is a contradicting evidence. Management will definitely need to know if there is any new person being employed and their pay would have been budgeted for. Okay, so it doesn't make sense. Yeah, 125 is a big money. Okay, now you can calculate it and show how material is that amount also. Okay, but in this question I didn't do it. Now inspect the payroll to confirm exactly the name of person who received this over which month. Second one, using payroll, identify which department this employee worked and to see the confirmation of their existence. Like for example, they got a punch card or they are showing some time sheet. Okay, show me the evidence that they exists, okay? And then report to management that 125,000 was paid to a person via payroll, and this might be a ghost employee, and clarify the matter with payroll supervisor, okay? So this is how you may want to exercise your professional skepticism, okay? Now before I close this, anyone got any question or not? No question? Okay, so now because just now do you need your lunch break at 12 or you are okay to do it at about 1 o'clock? Are you very hungry already? Nobody want to say anything? Hungry? Okay, yeah, 1 o'clock, yeah, because I want to continue actually, okay, because just now we had breaks all right in between, okay, so we'll do it at 1 o'clock, yeah, 1 to 2, I'll give you a lunch break, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, then, okay, now let's go and look at your notes. I want you to close all this, okay, so the notes that I want you to open is on the professional skill and audit risk, okay, so this one. You found? Okay, done. Okay, so now I want to explain to you further. Okay, when did they change the format? Yeah, the major change in your exam came in September 2022. Okay, so when what is the major change? They are examining you with professional skill marks. Okay, so what does professional skill marks means, right? Professional skill marks means that now you are already going to get additional 20% and also not additional. Your marks are being split. You have 20% marks for you to demonstrate professional skill and 80% for you to earn for technical marks. Okay, so now this is an example. I'm not going to go through this, but I want to show you how they have examined since September 2022. Okay, so what they did is they give you significant business risk question. Okay, and it carries 10 marks, and then significant audit risk 16 marks. Principal audit procedure is 6 marks. Okay, so this is how they generally confirmed that they will examine you. Whether they will give business risk or not depends on the set that you get. Okay, so what I understand is one set will be with business risk, another one is without the business risk. So we don't know which set you will receive. Okay, so question 1 actually they don't have too many variant. Yeah, I mean not too many variant, too many different questions. There's only 2 sets that they are releasing based on what my students have shared with me. Yeah, so generally it's only 2 questions, either one with business risk, another one is without the business risk. Okay, so we don't know which set you will get. Okay, so another one will be audit procedure for sure that you will be examined. Okay, and the rest of it could be ethics, could be any other part of the syllabus. Okay, so now this is how you get examined. Now the fact that they have introduced professional skill marks, I have to go through with you because it's 20 marks. Yeah, 20 marks makes a lot of difference in your whether you pass or not. Okay, so number 1, let me just explain to you professional skills. Then we can move on to look into audit risk. Yeah, number 1, the professional skill marks. You need to demonstrate communication marks, and this communication marks is a maximum of 4 marks, and it is only applicable in question number 1. Okay, so what do you need to do for question 1 for you to earn all the 4 marks? Yeah, I really encourage you to earn professional skill marks as much as possible because it is either double mark or it is something that you can go into the exam well prepared. Okay, because now technical marks we don't know, yeah, which area you're going to get examined, so you cannot be so prepared about it. But communication you can go in well prepared. Okay, number 1, you should prepare the briefing notes. Okay, the format and structure, you will get 1 mark. Okay, so you have the right headings, subheadings, and introduction. It looks clean, yeah. So then you will get 1 mark. Okay, number 2 is adherence to the request of the audit engagement partner. So which means, right, the audit engagement partner will state to you what is the materiality that they want you to use. Okay, use that. Don't go and use something else, and if you do that, you are not adherence to the request. Okay, so actually it's like we're going to answer based on what they're asking. Okay, so by doing that, you're going to get extra another 1 mark. Okay, and sometimes they will mention that leave out certain risk. Okay, or mean like foreign exchange risk of foreign exchanges, risk that employment benefit. Okay, so some of the items please ignore, they will say. Okay, do not include it. So leave out the certain risk and include certain risk. They will mention to you specifically this risk must be included. By you adhering to the request of the partner, you should get another 1 mark for your communication. Okay, now third one is tailor your answer to the scenario. Okay, so now I will guide you through how to tailor it. Okay, like how you want to score marks in terms of getting professional skill marks plus with the technical marks. That one is later. Number 3 is the style, language, and clarity. Okay, so make sure your clarity in your explanation, right, is that it should not sound like you have lack of understanding, lack of knowledge about IFRS. Okay, so you should use a professional style in terms of providing or preparing the briefing note. Okay, so you should be able to get this 4 marks in your question 4 if you have done sufficient practices. Okay, so I'm not sure what to normally ACCA, or I heard some YouTube videos where they say that if you have done about 5 question 1, okay, so you should easily be able to attempt it well. But I don't believe it's only 5 questions. Okay, so I think you must at least do about 10 question 1. Okay, 10 question 1, yeah, section A questions. And if you have done in a very standardized manner for all the 10 questions, you will understand how to get the communication mark for sure. Okay, so the 4 marks can be in your hand and when you go into the exam if you have present your 10 question in the same way. Okay, so you will get a momentum of, or you are familiar with the way to present, should easily earn the 4 marks. Okay, so you don't have communication mark in your section B. Okay, now let's go on to see the analysis and evaluation marks. Okay, so if analysis and evaluation mark, right, you will need to prioritize your significant risk of material mistake. Okay, so what is prioritization of a significant risk of material misstatement is, like you have to talk about what is most important and present it at the top. Okay, because it's a briefing note, right? It's something that you are giving to your partner, so you should put in the prioritization at the top. Okay, let's say I have revenue, that is my most major significant risk for that client. I should put revenue at the top. Then my detection risk may be at the bottom. Okay, so information should be used to determine suitable calculation. Okay, so you should take which information to do your analysis, like your ratio calculation and so on. So that way you can earn analytics and evaluation mark. Number 3 is have a balanced discussion. Okay, which you are providing recommendation. You are doing a discussion. Okay, so you should say like, oh, it should be done this way, and currently they're not doing it, so because of that, this will happen. Okay, so have a balanced discussion. Okay, and omission of information from scenario. Okay, so you should mention it. Yeah, for example, you need further information and it is not there, so you should say that right now the decision cannot be made because I have lack of information. Okay, so by you mentioning that you have lack of information, the examiner will give you additional 1 mark. Okay, because of the fact that they understand. I mean, they see you as someone who knows what is needed and what is not needed to answer the question. Okay, so that is on analytical and evaluation. Do you have anything to ask or not? Yeah, before I move on. Yeah. So if so far don't have, then we'll move on to the next one. Yeah. Next is exercising professional skepticism and judgment. I've just explained to you. You have to demonstrate that you are being skeptical. Okay. So number 1 is having the questioning mind, being alert and critical assessed. Yeah, I've already explained. And if you have, then you can get 1 mark. Yeah. And if you have made some challenging the management. Okay. So calling out the management for incorrect treatment. So you say that the way that the management has made the recognition is inconsistent. The assumption is not reasonable. So if you call out, you are going to get 1 mark. Okay, so application of technical IFRS ethical code, yeah, if you have done that, you can get also another 1 mark. Okay, so informed decision about the course of action. Okay, informed decision means you make a decision on now, right? Like remember, we have to explain now, and when you're explaining the now, you are selecting the right procedure. Okay, like for example, we have just done the payroll supervisors thing, right? So we mentioned that I want to obtain the list of employees that who they have appointed temporarily. Okay, so if I go and put a procedure, I want to obtain all the name list. I want to compare each payment that has been paid out. It doesn't make sense. Okay, so if I'm making an informed decision very much related to the case, I can get another 1 mark for professional skill. Okay, justifying why is it a significant risk. Okay, let's say I put the significant risk prioritized at the top, right? I justify. I tell that I'm selecting this as my significant risk because of what reason. Okay, another 1 mark for that, and justifying the suitable materiality level. Okay, so this is your justification. You will get additional 1 mark. Yeah. Last one on commercial acumen. Okay, so commercial acumen means whether your answers are logic or not. Okay, like is it practical and also plausible, your audit procedures. Okay, and also assessing the impact of business risk is going to be another 1 mark. If you are using the right calculation and facts from the scenario, you might be able to obtain the commercial acumen and marks, and you are making wider choices when you are discussing on the topic. You are considering the whole scenario rather than just specific area. Okay, now yeah, it may sound all very general. Yeah, when we do it, then only we can understand. Okay, so I want to cover first so that I can later highlight, hey, this is what I meant by professional skill marks. This is where you can earn professional skill marks. So I can highlight it. So that's why I explain first. Okay, now I want to move on to your audit risk. Okay, so when you talk about audit risk or risk of material misstatement, there's no major differences. The only differences is that what is audit risk? Audit risk means you have inherent risk plus with your control risk plus with your detection risk, right? But if examiner asks you, please, not examiner won't say please. If examiner say identify the risk of material misstatement, means you only talk about inherent risk plus control risk. Okay, don't discuss about detection risk. Even if you did, then I think you will waste time. And plus with you are not being adherent to the request of the partner, so you won't get the 1 mark for professional skill marks. Okay, so now let's go and identify the risk. How do we identify risk? Okay, so the way that I want you to identify risk is you use DETS R. Okay, so what is DETS R? Hold on, yeah, you don't have please here. Okay, when you want to identify, okay, so you look out for any dollar sign. Okay, so if they're mentioning a figure, there might be some reason for it. Okay, like for example, right, they say this company spent 1 million to purchase something. Okay, they could have just simply put that current year the client has purchased or installed or done renovation. Okay, but if they are mentioning a dollar amount, they want you to be more critical about it, and it could be significant risk of material misstatement. Okay, so look out for any dollar sign. And number 2, look out for any accounting standard related items in the question. Look out for anything that they mention as during the year. Okay, S is look out for significant risk. Okay, so what does significant risk consist of? Significant risk is any item where you have some amount of maybe you have uncertainty. Okay, like provision like that. You have some changes happening. Okay, you might have changes in accounting policy and so on. Okay, maybe the environment of the client is complex. Okay, maybe you will need there is some what other things is considered as significant risk? If there is any revenue item. Okay, any related party transaction, any susceptibility to management bias, okay, any subjectivity, okay, any subjectivity that involves it's going to be significant risk also. If they are using judgment areas, so those areas I will select as significant risk. Okay, so that's what it meant here. Yeah. Okay, so step 1, you identify the risk. Okay, so what does the examiner says about the way that people is selecting the risk, right? Unless specified by all, exhibit should be considered for your risk purpose. Okay, and there will be interaction between the exhibit. Yeah, sometimes you have to use information in part exhibit 1 with exhibit 3. Okay, you should clearly read the partner's email for any specific guidance. Okay, that's step 1. Number 2 is evaluating risk that has been identified. Okay, so question only want you to identify significant risk. Don't select the risk that is insignificant. Okay, how do you know it is significant risk? It's highly likely to happen. Okay, so specific to the scenario, non-routine maybe. Require management to make estimates and subject to judgmental, highly likely to happen, highly likely to give rise to material mistake. Okay, so those are significant risk, because sometimes, right, there are questions where there is uncertainty in terms of whether there is a legal case is going on or not. Okay, very remote possibilities of going into that case, so you don't select that as a significant risk. Select the one that, like worst case scenario, it's going to happen, they're going to make payment, for sure this is happening. Okay, so those type of things, like they have done revenue recognition wrongly. Okay, so those things are significant risk. Okay, evaluate it and then start writing out your evaluation. Okay, so it's very important that you need to explain how the risk arise, why you think the risk arise, and what's the implication of the risk. Okay, so this is on how to evaluate your audit risk. Okay, how, why, and implication. Okay, now when you are doing the whole question, it can be very overwhelming, yeah, because the question itself will be 6 pages and then there's possibilities exhibits are very long. So what we want to do is we want to go step by step. Okay, number one is you must do analytics. Okay, hold on, yeah, you have to do the relevant analytics. Okay, so try to see the trend or trend increase decrease all, yeah, try to do this, not try, yeah, you must do, and I will ask the students to do it in Excel. Okay, so you can save time, yeah, you transfer the figures in exam, you can cut and paste, transfer to the Excel and then try to drag down so you can get the figures easily. Okay, because every time you are using this movement ratio in your exam, right, you can get additional half mark and to a maximum of 2 marks. Okay, so please use your analytics well. Okay, next one. Example, yeah, these are some analytics. Okay, so let's assume revenue increased by 10%, PBT increased by 20%. What does it tell to you? Does it make sense or it doesn't make sense? If your analytics is this way, when you calculate, right, you have done the analytics and you notice this. Revenue increased by 10%, PBT increased by 20%. Does it make sense or not? Okay, it does not make sense. Why? Because of, should ideally be how? Ideally it should be how, yeah? Yeah, should be consistent. Yes, correct. But revenue, okay, so let's just look at how do our financial statement look like, right? Okay, hold on, yeah, it's our financial statement. Lower than revenue. Yes, correct. Okay. So now we have revenue, we have cost of sales, we have our gross profit, we have our admin expenses, sales and distribution costs, we have our operating profit, and then we have finance costs, okay, profit before tax, income tax expenses, and profit after. Okay. So imagine, yeah, this is how your condition is. Okay. So you have operating profit, PBT, and profit after tax. Okay. So ideally, if my revenue, okay, so if my revenue increased by 10%, okay, I definitely will have increase for cost of sales, because for me to sell more, I will incur more costs, isn't it? So my cost of sales may be increased by 5%. Okay, so the net of my gross profit is only going to be 5%. Okay, and then I will have admin expenses, sales and distribution expenses, finance costs, my income tax. So even if all these are constant, okay, even if all these are constant, at least my income tax also will increase a little bit. So obviously my profit after tax should be lower than 5%. Okay, it doesn't make sense that it doesn't make sense that they are doing this 20% increase. Okay, so what does 20% increase in profit after tax mean to you? Okay, let me just explain one time, then maybe the next time you can go and analyze it. Yeah, okay. So it may mean that they are understatement. Okay, they are understatement in expenses. Okay, so I've wrongly recognized maybe. Okay, supposed to be an expenses, I go and capitalize it. So consistently here has a reduction. So the net will be the increase by 20%. Okay, so probably there is a possibility that revenue is being overstated also. Okay, so yeah. Why I think revenue could be oh no, not revenue. Sorry, other income is being overstated. Maybe. Okay, so where do we have other income? Oh, normally over here. Okay, maybe other income is being overstated. Okay, can understand. This type of analytics is favorite or very important for you to do. Okay, favorite for the examiner, yeah, because you are going beyond than what is provided. You're calculating, you're justifying it. It's like wow, like that. Okay, so now let's look at here, yeah. So it doesn't make sense because ideally, this could indicate that the PBT is overstated. Okay, so overstated could be due to other income is overstated or your expenses is understated. Okay, so now let's look at the next situation. Revenue is increased by 10%, warranty provision increased by 2%. Does it make sense or not to you? Yeah, does it make sense? If I am making more sales, I suppose my provision also should increase, isn't it, for warranty? Because the more I sell, the more I would have given out warranty. So more warranty, more warranty provision. So it does not make sense. This one should be, yeah, this supposed to be, yes, this one should be consistent. Okay, probably here the revenue could be overstated or the provision is being understated. Okay, so now let's go and look at effective interest rate. Okay, so current year is 20% and last year is 25%. Okay, is it okay or not okay? Maybe okay, maybe not okay. Anyway, the question is asking us to identify risk, isn't it? So there are possibilities that current year the income tax expenses is being understated, okay, because they are using lower percentage. Okay, or maybe there is possibilities that revenue is being understated. Okay, can be a situation where expenses is also overstated. Okay, that's why the rate is reducing. Okay, now if I have revenue gone down by 10%, okay, what should I be concerned about? Revenue is reduced by 10%. Yeah, what does it tell to me? Okay, this could mean that management might be under pressure. Okay, so I could be worried about material misstatement in the financial statement. There could be indication of material misstatement in the financial statement. What other reason could we think of if revenue gone down? Yeah, loss of customers. Yeah, you see the fact that you are saying, right, loss of customers, that one is more of you are thinking from business perspective. No, you should think as an auditor perspective. If my revenue, my client's revenue is gone down by 10%, what I will be concerned about? You're not worried, yeah, if they are the loss of customer. You might be worried that will they be able to continue? Yeah, correct. Okay, so I can consider about obsolete stock, obsolete inventory. Okay, so that might be some impairment that I might need to consider. Okay, so eventually I might need to also think about, is there any going concern issue or not? Okay, so yeah, these are the things that you should be thinking about and slot in, yeah, in your answers, because you might notice that there is impairment, and then you also want to justify and add on with saying that, based on the analytics, it shows that the revenue has reduced 10%. This is an indicator of impairment. So, like you can come up with risk, significant risk, by doing the analytics and at the same time earning the professional skill marks. Okay, now monthly wages is going up, employee numbers is going down. Does it make sense or not? Yeah, ideally. Okay, let's just write it. Later I'll write it down for you further. Yeah, no, it should be what? Yeah, if wages is going up means my employee numbers should also increase. Okay, so yeah, there is possibilities of
fictitious employee.
Yes, correct. There is maybe there is ghost employee. Okay, employee. Maybe there is like a overstatement of monthly wages. Okay, so what else can happen? Yeah, correct. Okay, fictitious employees. Yeah. Okay, so that's why the monthly wages is high when the employee numbers is going down. Okay, or maybe they have incomplete records on their employee. Yeah. Yes, possible. Yeah, ex-employee is still in the payroll list. Okay, and yeah, all this is possible. Okay, so we can put this in. Yeah, we can say that the ex-employee is being paid, or there will be double payment. Okay, there is a risk to that. When we're explaining the risk, we use these factors to explain. So you see, you cannot get these points if you have not done the analytics on the financial statement. Okay, so a lot of people are unable to score well when they depend only on the exhibit that they give, like the only depending on the notes that they give, and they don't use the financial statement well. Okay, so for me is like you have to break down the financial statement into pieces. Yeah, then only you can get so much of information. Okay, now let's assume goodwill is unchanged. What risk that you should be thinking about? Yeah. Yeah, because every year you have to account for goodwill impairment, right? Okay, I mean not every year you have to account for. Every year you need to test for goodwill impairment, and if it shows unchanged, there is possibilities that the goodwill is being overstated. It is possible that the expenses are understated. Okay, these are the risks that can happen. There is a risk that the goodwill is not accounted for, not tested for impairment. Okay, the annual impairment test not conducted. Okay, so intangible remain unchanged. You see, last year intangible figure is also same. This year intangible asset also same. Yes, there is no impairment. Okay, so there is no not impairment. Sorry, there is no amortization. Okay, so no amortization. Obviously, the intangible remain unchanged. So you have to go and evaluate and see, is there sure that this intangible has what is this, infinite useful life? Even if it's infinite useful life, they should have done an annual impairment test. Okay, so no amortization. It means intangible asset is being overstated and the expenses is understated. Hold on, yeah. Where did I write CPX? I think this is expenses. Okay. Okay. So now let's just write a little bit more. Yeah, I just want to add on a little bit more. Okay. So when revenue increased 10%, PBT increased by 20%, right? We have already write. Yeah, maybe PBT is overstated. Okay. This could be early recognition of other income. Okay. Or maybe the expenses, right? We want to say maybe there is deferment or capitalization of expenses. Okay, so we cannot just say understatement, overstatement. Yeah, that one we'll tell later, but we have to tell what is possibly could have happened. Okay, so warranty, yeah, this one should be consistent. Maybe there is two things, yeah. Okay, revenue is wait, yeah, it could be early recognition of revenue, or it could be they calculate warranty wrongly. Okay, so understatement of warranty provision, not RP. Warranty provision. Okay, so income tax expenses is being understated. We already tell, yeah, maybe they are using a wrong percentage. Revenue could be understated, expenses could be overstated. Yeah, so all this can happen. We have already told this, yeah. Revenue. Okay, so I just want you to add on a little bit more. Okay, because I think this is a very important skill. Yeah, these days they are expecting you to do this much of analysis. Okay, little bit on ratio. Okay, so don't only go and calculate and do increase decrease between the financial statement. Where possible, do ratio calculation. Okay, so let's assume the operating margin. Okay, so it is currently 25%. Last year is 20x4 is 20%. Okay, what could be the risk? Currently, operating profit margin is higher. What does it tell to us? Be careful when you have explanation about operating profit margin and also gross profit margin. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there is an increase in revenue. Okay, the increase in revenue, if it doesn't make sense, okay, maybe in the case they say that the loss of customers, there is like war zone in your customer's place. Okay, so those type of things, yeah. So yes, there is a risk that the early recognition of revenue. Okay, or it could be a deferment of expenses. It could be. Let's say there is effective interest rate. I explained already. Yeah, maybe current tax is understated. Inventory. Okay, so inventory days, let's assume this year the inventory days is 60 days. Last year it was 20x4, it was 30 days. Okay, what you should be concerned about? What could be the risk? Anybody? Yeah, inventory. Yeah, obsolete stock. Yes. Okay, so inventory being overstated and so on. Yeah. Okay, so inventory could be overstated and the expenses could be understated. Okay. Okay. So receivable days now become 60 days. Last time it was last year it was 30 days. What could be the risk? Doing all this is also being skeptical. Yeah. Okay. So H, because if normal people will just ignore it because you're skeptical. Yes. Okay. So that might be provision for. Okay. So there could be receivable being overstated. Okay. And expenses. Yeah, which is the provision for doubtful debt or bad debt is understated. Okay. Similarly, it goes to payables. Okay. So if it's payables H now becomes 60 days and last year is 20x4, it was maybe 30 days. Okay. What does it tell to you? If it's payable days. Yeah, yes. Okay, so you may be concerned about their inability, okay, inability to pay, okay, and maybe yeah, they are having cash flow issue, okay, and cash flow issue, maybe there is a going concern problem coming up. Okay, so at least at minimum try to do all this calculation, okay, so that you will be able to use it, earn that 2 marks for analytics, and apart from that you will be having a lot more other professional skill marks that you can earn because it shows that you are being skeptical, you are using the information given in conclusive manner, and apart from that you might be able to identify new risks also. Okay, please do not ignore the what is this? Don't ignore all this financial information given to you. Okay, so here we have some example. But I've already explained most of the scenario that I've seen here. Yeah? Okay, so I'm not going to go through that. Now let's move on to significant risk within the exhibit. Okay, so now when we already received the the question, right? You have to do few steps first. Okay, so I'll run through all this, then I'll give you lunch break. When you come back, we'll do the question. Okay, so number one is hold on, yeah. Alright, yeah, give me 1 second. Okay, number one, you should be aware. You should check and see is this a public listed entity or not. I think all the analytics I gone through with you already. Yeah. Okay. So now, yeah, you should check and see whether this is a public listed entity. Okay. So number one, yeah, when you read, look, why this thing keep on combining? Okay. So is it a public listed entity? Okay. So my pen become some kind already here. Okay. Is it a public listed entity? Number two, whether it is a new client. Is it a new client for you? B is whether the financial statement is projected before year end or it is projected. You're very ugly, yeah. Hold on, yeah. I don't know why the pen like cursive writing already. Okay, so now let me just charge for a while. Okay, so now for awareness, right, you may want to write it down. I will type it out for you. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so you want to look at it as whether it is public listed entity. Okay, and then you want to look at whether this is a new client. Okay, whether it is the financial statement information that they are giving is before year end figures or it is already being projected to year end. Okay, very important, yeah, because there's one particular year they have done it or they provide last year figure is September and then current year figure is July figures. Okay, so when you calculate, there's definitely significant fluctuations. Okay, so make sure you have already seen that they are projected to current year. Okay, current year end. Because ideally, when you go for planning, you are at July, your year end will be September. So check and see whether they have already extrapolated to September or projected to September. Okay, then only you will be able to do the analytics well. Okay, now second stage is you want to identify all this significant risk. Okay, so I've already mentioned to you just now, you are going to put in all this or you want to look out for any dollar value. Okay, to see whether it could be your significant risk. Second is look out for any counting standards, okay, related issues, inventory, provision, employee benefit, related party transaction, okay, revenue. So try to look out for is there any related to the accounting standard that you have learned in SBR level. Now this is for during the year, okay, and then your S is basically your significant risk. Okay, identify for significant risk. R is any related party transaction. Okay, related party transaction by nature will be by nature it is a significant risk. Okay, so significant risk are items which have subjectivity. Okay, subjectivity, which will just add S there. Okay, example, right? There is a lot of judgment items which require judgment estimation. Okay, so those items are considered involve subjectivity, and due to that reason, you can have risk or audit risk. Okay, another one is uncertainty. Okay, uncertainty means there is like for example, like provision like that. Okay, decommissioning cost. Okay, so sometimes we have to account for the present value. Okay, so this is change. Okay? Any changes in the accounting policy for the year. Okay, so example, yeah, any changes when they have a complex environment. Okay, they mention okay, they have many subsidiaries and then joint venture and then they have associates. So all these are mentioning that it is in a complex environment. Okay, and then look out for any susceptibility or management bias. Okay, so for example, like the revenue has reduced. Okay, so maybe they want to manipulate a situation where they may have opportunity, their internal control has deficiency. All these are susceptibility to management bias. Okay, and then look out for revenue. Revenue is by nature is significant risk. Okay, so now I actually want you to draw this. Okay, so yeah, let's just have this item. Actually, like this analytics that I come across. Hold on, yeah. Okay, so now the questions that they have in the past. Wait, yeah, hold on. It's so important for you to know. Okay, so now this is the most recent question, and I want you for sure do all this question. Okay, so number one is RIC group. Okay, hold on, yeah. Revenue. Okay, revenue is by nature is revenue. Remember, ISA 240. Okay, fraud, right? ISA 240 says that revenue should be always presumed to have significant risk of fraud because of the fact that revenue can be easily manipulated. Okay, so yeah, RIC group. Okay, so these are some very important questions that I believe you cannot go to the exam without knowing all these questions. Okay, so another one, Crooks group. Okay, PALE. All these are latest questions, yeah, which you must do. Okay, Gruber, Infinite, okay, and then Winberry, Mercurio, okay, and then Encore. Make sure, yeah, you have done all this before you go to exam. Okay, so I'll provide you the answer for all this. Okay, so why cannot? Okay, so these are the 9 questions. Okay, so probably you can do another one to make it a 10. Okay, so I'll let you know what is the another question. Yeah, okay, I am actually leaving it blank for the pre-mock question, which they will release on today is 11. So they will release one question on 13. So I'm keeping it as what will be the pre-mock question. Okay, so that's the pre-mock question. Okay, 13, right? Pre-mock. Yeah. The ACCA will release one pre-mock question in their practice platform on 13th of May. So I'll just leave it as that. Okay, I don't know the name of that question. Sometimes they'll use by passive question. Okay, so now yeah, this is the 10 question that you must do. Okay, before you go to the exam. So now the topics or the significant risk that they have was management bias. Okay, so management bias. I want to do it with you, yeah, the topic, because I want you to do this type of analysis, then you can kind of, well prepared for the exam. Okay, so management bias. Okay, here it was a listed entity. Okay, so it was a listed entity, and they kind of have incentive. Okay, so their incentive is based on the performance of the company. Okay, so that was the risk. For Crooks Group, don't have management bias. PALE was family owned. Okay, because it was family owned, they have a lot of opportunity to commit the management bias. Okay, for Gruber, it was managing director sells the share. Okay, want to sell the share, so obviously they want to overstate the financial statement so that he can sell off at high value. Okay, so Infinite don't have management bias. Winbury also again it was listed company. Mercurio is reason expansion. Okay, and then they have this loan application that is going on. So because of that, there is possibilities of management bias. Okay, because I want to show good results so that I can get the loan. Hold on, yeah. Where is this? Hold on, yeah. I'll reply you. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Is there any coming? Yeah, correct. I've heard about this also. Okay, I had I have my friends who are teaching AAA also. Yeah, so we always discuss about this. We never seen employee benefit so far. Okay, so we should be aware of, and it is possible to be examined. Yes, correct. Okay, I think recently my friend also we were discussing about that. Yeah, don't have. Okay, so employee benefit don't have. I think share-based payment is also not very common. Forex always they ask us to ignore. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we'll see which one never examined, because we have to also be aware that there's possibilities of getting new topic in every sitting. Okay, so yeah, those are never examined. Okay, now let's go and see Encore. Also don't have. Here is again it was a management bonus. Okay, management bonus based on profit before tax. Okay, so there is possibilities they will manipulate any of it before tax. Okay, so all this we can suspect that there could be a management bias. Okay, remember when you're doing question 1, it's not like we accusing them, yeah, but we are being skeptical. We are saying that these are areas that can go wrong. So we are discussing about it. Okay, now let's go and talk about revenue. Okay, so revenue is over here it was subscription. Okay, a Crooks Group is on deposits. PALE don't have, And then here is unbundling, the standalone selling price and so on. Unbundling. Okay, so infinite don't have here is subscription. Revenue are all favorite topics also, yeah. Okay, and then they have this impairment. Here it was on goodwill. Here is old ship will be replaced. So we understand that there's possibilities of impairment. Okay. Hold on, yeah. This one just read it up. Okay. Pale is damaged trees. Okay, so very interesting question. I like pale. Gruber, no. Infinite is damaged rights. And then Winberry maybe not view, damaged warehouse. Okay, and here is Curio. It was okay. So some stores may be unused. Okay, so here is damaged dockyard. Okay, so these are common ones that we come across. Common topics. Okay, so you see impairment, like practically every single sitting or every single paper has the impairment. Okay, so now next one is on related party. Okay, so related party transaction. Here is sales of sale PPE to CEO. To CEO. Okay, so then we are concerned about whether they have disclosed that clearly. Yeah, here is director. Related company. Okay, they have transaction with related company. Don't have here is MD sells design to the company. All are related party. Okay, loan to MD, managing director. Yeah. Okay, and then Winbury don't have. Yeah, the others don't have. Another one is significant. This is a topic which last time not so important, but now it's becoming more and more important. Okay, so significant internal control deficiency. Okay, they want you to identify it as an not audit. Significant internal control deficiency is actually not a particular accounting standard, but internal control deficiency can make a lot of items in the financial statement misstated. Okay, so they want you to identify. In the past, don't have so many like this, but in recent time, yes. Okay, so for example, in NCOR is internal control deficiency in the payroll. Okay, this one is new acquisition. Okay, overseas, okay, which held held by the government. Okay, so and these are some example of topics. Okay, any other that you always see, that you find it always comes out? Okay, so maybe we can develop it as we do the question. The one that more common one is PPE, intangible asset. Investment, property, provision, okay, inventory. Okay, so I want you to develop something like this so that you know what the good thing about developing this is when you know revenue, okay, so the wordings that you're going to use is going to be the same. So you can answer questions very fast if you have done all this so many times. Okay, so inventory, subsequent event. Okay, subsequent event. Yeah, we'll develop this as we do the question. Okay, but these are more common items also. Okay, have I mentioned goodwill here? Okay, so goodwill is also something that is offered exam. Okay. Yeah, these are the items. Okay, so later as we do the question, we will develop it. Okay, so you have to develop it also on your own because I might not be able to do all the question in the class, but I will make sure I will give you answer for all this. Okay, Ken, are you okay so far? Already 1 o'clock. Is that the reason of silence? Yeah. Okay, so I think you can take your lunch break. Okay, so when you come back, we'll continue with all the other things that I wanted to cover before we go and do the questions. Okay, so question 1, you require maximum amount of planning to attempt because 50 mark, you can how to say, carried away and spend too much of time. Okay, so make sure we already go in well prepared and tried all these questions and already develop our skill to answer on all areas, the important areas. Okay, so you can take your lunch break and then come back around. How long do you take your lunch?